Have you ever looked at an artwork made with cool colors and felt calm? Or seen one made with warm colors and felt the energy and passion of the artist come off the page? Color psychology has always been used by artists to share particular emotions through their paintings. Joy, sadness, anxiety, energy, fear, mystery, and more. So, you look at a work of art and ask yourself, why did the artist use these colors? What do they want to communicate? Maybe you've seen the color wheel. This comes from Isaac Newton's experiments. Newton had quarantined himself in his rooms to avoid the plague that was raging in England at the time. When he held a glass prism in the path of a ray of sunlight entering through a hole in the curtain of his dark room, he observed that the white sunlight was divided into red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, and blue light. By doing further experiments, he discovered that when light from three separate parts of his rainbow, the red, green, and blue regions, was recombined, it regenerated white light. He called them the primary colors. When two of these were combined, secondary colors were formed. When he combined blue and green light, he observed cyan-colored light. Green and red light mixed to give yellow light. But when he combined the red and blue light from his prisms, Newton observed a colored light, magenta, that was not in the natural visible spectrum. Newton organized his discoveries into a color wheel that showed the three primary colors: red, green, and blue, separated from the three secondary colors: yellow, cyan, and magenta. Since magenta was a non-spectral color of light, its origins were a mystery. Since then, the theories progressed until the creation of the color wheel that we know today. Colors can be divided into warm and cold. Warmer colors are yellow, orange, and red. Red, through its association with fire and blood, is used to represent danger, anger, and violence. For the same reason, it is also associated with affairs of the heart, love, and passion. In Paul Gauguin's Vision After the Sermon, Jacob wrestles with the angel in a blood-red field of spiritual battle, an apt metaphor for his internal struggle against the will of God. Yellow is the color of the sun, the life support for our planet. As such, it has come to represent life, energy, happiness, hope, and wisdom. Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers is painted almost entirely yellow and without any shadows. It expresses the radiance of sunshine, rather than giving us a detailed description of what the flowers look like. Van Gogh also uses yellow as the symbol of hope and friendship, as the Sunflower series was painted to welcome his friend Paul Gauguin to the Yellow House in Arles. Orange symbolizes creativity, change, energy, and endurance. As a secondary color, it combines elements of the colors used to mix it. The creative passion of red with the energy and joy of yellow. Mark Rothko often used the color orange in his work. Rothko intended to stimulate basic human emotions from his viewers in response to his carefully selected palette of hues. Colder colors are green, blue, and purple. Green, as the color of plants and grass, is the color of nature and all that is associated with health and growth. Cézanne's painting of the bridge at Maincy is a formal composition of horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines whose rigor is somewhat relieved by the curves of the bridge. What turns this steadfast structure into a woodland sanctuary is the myriad of greens that bathe the scene in a magical emerald light. Blue is the coolest and most calming of all the colors. As the color of the sky, it has been used since ancient times to represent heaven. In classical mythology, blue was the color associated with the gods, Venus and Jupiter. In Christianity, it becomes the symbol of the Virgin Mary as Queen of Heaven. As the color of the ocean, it also suggests qualities like freshness, purity, and hygiene. The calmness of blue is seldom more visible than in this Nocturne of the River Thames by Whistler. The view is at twilight from Battersea, looking across to Chelsea. Purple is the color of royalty, wealth, and power. In times past, purple dyes were rare and expensive. Only the rich and powerful could afford to wear clothes of this luxurious color. Catherine II supported the development of the arts, literature, and education in Russia. She is portrayed here wearing a gown of the finest purple silk, draped with ermine robes, clothes worthy of her noble status. Neutral colors are white, black, and gray. Black and its association with darkness are used to represent death, evil, witchcraft, fear, and mourning. But it also represents the color of power and mystery. Spanish painter Francisco Goya created a series of paintings that are referred to as the Black Paintings. The dark color palettes and haunting imagery used in these paintings were likely a nod to the fear and anxiety that plagued Goya after the Napoleonic Wars and two near-fatal illnesses. Playing upon the fearful, ominous aspect of the hue, Goya can evoke feelings of panic and turmoil within his works. White and its association with light is used to represent peace, purity, and goodness. Romantic painter Ary Scheffer often painted many works focusing on Christian themes. His 1854 painting, The Temptation of Christ, showcases the use of white as a symbol of clarity and peace, imparting emotion through sentimental and pure gestures. Gray is the natural color of some metals and stones, but it also has some negative associations with the weather, boredom, decay, and old age. Gray is a mixture of black and white, and is the color of ashes and dust. As such, it is also associated with death and mourning. Goat Skull, Bottle and Candle by Pablo Picasso is a modern, vanitas, still life, a traditional genre that addresses the idea of our mortality. Colors can be combined, and depending on the context, they can change meaning or evoke different emotions. Let's see some color schemes. An analogous color scheme uses colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. These colors have a close relationship with each other. They give a sense of cohesion and harmony, resulting in visually pleasing. Complementary colors are opposite each other on the color wheel. When placed next to each other, there is an extremely strong, contrasting, and vibrant effect. A split complementary color scheme is similar to the complementary color scheme, but one of the complementary is split, giving a sense of less tension. A monochromatic color scheme utilizes just one color with varying levels of saturation and value. Depending on the chosen base color, emotions can be different. Now we see a painting and try to interpret it based on the colors and emotions that derive from it. The Last Day of Pompeii by Karl Brulov. At first glance, we understand that we are observing a tragedy, the one that overwhelmed the city of Pompeii in 79 AD. This tragedy is greatly emphasized by the use of colors. Let's see why. In the scene, there is a strong contrast between darkness and light. This contrast emphasizes the tension generated by the cataclysm. Black means death and looming fear. Yellow light expresses the criticality of the event. The color that prevails in the background is red. This indicates the pain and anger of a natural event so powerful that it attacks people who are powerless to react. We then see several people trying to escape. These men and women have tunics of different colors. From left to right, we see several groups of people wearing red clothes. Red represents the blood that will be shed and will lead to death. The first group represents fear and the feeling of helplessness. The second group represents the realization that there is no escape from the catastrophe. The father lets his son go to have a chance to save himself. Finally, we have the mother carrying the child. It doesn't seem like the child survived. The color green represents generosity, both in an active way, given by the boy who helps a large group of people, and in a passive way, where the old man is transported because he is unable to walk. Green is also represented negatively. In fact, we see a boy in the background who, trying to escape with a cart, appears selfish and greedy. The blue of the girl's veil represents the lack of emotion, not knowing how to react to save herself. The yellow that surrounds the family that tries to escape reinforces the criticality of the event and the vitality of trying to escape. The same cannot be said looking further down, where a mother lies lifeless on the ground. Here the criticality has another meaning. It contrasts with the white of the dress, representing emptiness. The child still represents white, but this time the meaning is the distance from the mother, which represents isolation. He is left to himself and his destiny.